I'm just a country boy at heart, no frills, no bravado. I'm from Birmingham, goddamn, don't ask me shit about avocados. Look a man in his eyes when you shake his hand, that's all that I know. I'm irreverent, and my daddy's still a reverend on the Bible. Every day above ground's brand new. My grandma said it's better being seen than viewed. So I won't say what I lost, I'll say what I did, never say what it ain't.
All right, I'm here with Pynk Beard. Welcome to the show. I'm going to go ahead and shred all these questions that I had written about avocados, and hopefully we could find something else to talk about. Yeah. I really appreciate you coming on Discover, Heal, Grow, the Taproot Therapy Collective podcast. We're just, a little local therapy, firm trying to have some good conversations and find out about like the psychology and really like not just the psychology in a corny way, but like just the psychological impulse of the artist, like the good and bad things that go along with it, how people try and redirect their energy to make sense of a crazy world or change a crazy world just a little bit. Plenty of craziness right now.
Absolutely.
You've got a new one climbing top of the pops. Like every time I check that video, it's like another 5 million, on there.
I need that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So congratulations. And for people who aren't familiar, Pynk Beard's done a couple things. I mean, he's done some like really good music, and then also I was always a huge fan of your marketing. Like I love I'm not going to fight for you, I'm going to fight you as mayor. So please vote for me, and I'll come to your house and kick your ass. I was hoping that would turn into like one of those like real LA style celebrity, like Tim Heidegger style like campaigns where you could actually vote for the person and then they start winning. Yeah.
Incredible, man.
Yeah. I want to see like the Supreme Court case where you're like, I told you what's going to happen.
I told you if I won,
yeah,
I was
you voted. Yeah, did you vote or not?
Yeah, you asked for it. Your name is on the voter roll. This matches. Get your ass kicked.
Well, see, you've got an interesting story, and I want to get to your contemporary stuff, but could you go through what it's like, grow? Because I grew up in Birmingham too. I've been here my whole life, lived in Florence, Alabama for a little bit, went to school at Swanee, but other than that, this is where I'm from. And it's an interesting area. Like I was in New York recently to demo like this new thing that we're doing at Taproot, and everybody's like, like they all had fun, and it was like, yeah, I like talking to people, meeting people, but then they were all kind of privately would come up and be like, are you really from Alabama? Or like, what's Alabama like? Like, I don't think of people like you being from Alabama, and I thought I love that. My wife was like really uncomfortable. She's like, oh, some of the times I'm embarrassed, and I was like, no, dude, I love it. I love going to a room, rizzing everybody out, and then me like, I'm from Alabama.
I'm from Alabama.
Like,
yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't know. What's your experience like? What do you associate with the place, or anything that kind of speaks to you or informs your work? Because you're definitely in communication with it a lot in a way that's empowering and unashamed and hopeful.
Oh man, like being from Birmingham, from Alabama in general, but Birmingham specifically, it's like the first lens to my whole worldview. So like,
can't get away from that one.
Yeah, you just can't get
away.
away.
It stays with you. Even if you
really does,
even if you reject it and rebel against it and say, I'm going to do this whole new thing and move to LA or New York, like it's like you can still kind of tell the person's rebelling against it instead of owning it. Like,
yeah, man. And I've always just wanted to own it. I moved to LA just because my career kind of took me there. But, everywhere I go, I tell people, I'm really proud to be from Birmingham. Because Birmingham has been really good to me. I had like great teachers in my school system and, great support system and great friends. And so like, it's always been very much home to me. And so I try to carry it as a badge of honor in a lot of ways, specifically because when you walk into a place, people might have a conception about it. They might have some kind of, oh, y'all wear shoes? yeah. Running water? Yeah, I got that too. So I wear it like a badge of honor, man. Birmingham has been really good to me. Every city's got its problems, but the devil that
yeah, and it is almost a language. You can't get away from it. There's good and bad things, about the I think the mythologies that we have it. But I always enjoyed kind of about the South that it brought the worst stuff to the surface because people felt comfortable. I mean, sometimes like because I travel to other places, and it's like a lot of the people that I went to school with that were for the lack of a better word from the North or something. It was like things would still come out that were kind of bad, but they had this way of like making it polite or whatever. And there's something about Alabama where people just feel comfortable telling you what they believe, which a lot of them I don't like or agree with, but I'm glad you're telling me
Glad I
that's
know it.
in there, man, because
Yeah.
you're not
Glad I
making
know
it
it.
complicated. Yeah, and that I think makes for kind of a different kind of discourse. It's like a weird culture where things are on the surface, even when they're not great. Do
Yeah.
you play with any of that in your music, or like you kind of use that in
Oh,
the
a
way that
lot,
you see it?
man. One of the reasons, like specifically in my newer stuff, like one of the things that I'm really trying to tackle is just a blunt conversation about certain things, right? Just
Mhm.
having the blunt conversation, just saying, "Hey, this is how I see it," And I think Birmingham kind of gives you that as a place, specifically like when you're getting into like venturing into country music. A lot of times, people will say, "Oh, don't say that," or
Mhm.
they kind of treat it as if we don't talk like, but it's like, no, no, where I'm from, we say what's on our minds, and
Yeah.
like it, love it, hate it, it doesn't matter, right?
They
Like,
want you to polish it or dress it up in a certain way, or they want you
yeah,
to just not
sometimes,
avoid the problem entirely and sing a happy song. Well, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I make room for happy music. One of the reasons that I'm doing this whole project is because I wanted to get back to happy me. And so most of this, I'm really a happy person. I don't know if you could tell, man, but like
Yeah.
I'm a fun, happy person. And I had spent so much time in LA, and LA had kind of like put a bunch of seriousness on me, and I was
Mhm.
sick of that. So I wanted to make good, fun, happy music, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it's an artist's job to reflect the times, and so I just have to be honest about all of that.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the stuff that you've done too is kind of playing with genre, which I'd like to talk about because it's like, you are a country artist and you see now more kind of like cross-pollination, I think, between rap and country and hip hop and country
Yeah,
and even R&B and country sometimes now, like
yeah,
than ever would have been around when I was in high school. Is there like kind of a way, but you're also not the traditional country music singer, just kind of
yeah,
like it's not the old kind of 70s country of like I lost my truck and my dog and my wife. And
yeah.
it's like not that new country where it's like, I don't know. We always used to make a joke that kind of like mid 2000s, like Iraq war pop country, there was like you could use 15 words, and the more you use them, you got like a ding ding and you went up. But if you use like another word, it went down. So you could be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
cherry pie toes in the sand in the truck. And then you'd be like, tax returns, wrong, going down. Like it was like, you have this like 15 word vocabulary. And it's like,
Yeah.
you're definitely not doing anything like that. I mean, it's very like soulful songwriter, almost kind of like indie rock stuff. I mean, tons of influence there. I mean, can you say
Yes.
anything about you just kinda spit it out and then see what happens, or do you think through that? Or,
I think through it, I've got like some breaks in my mind. I grew up I'm born at, you see my hair, 1980X,
yeah,
but I was born in 82, man. You know what I'm saying?
okay, 87.
Um, and
Yeah.
so, and my musical influences, I spent a lot of time in church. My mom and dad were both preachers. Um,
Well, your
you know,
mom was a preacher too. I knew your father was a preacher. I had no
yeah,
idea.
my mom and dad both preachers.
Same
And so
church? Like,
yeah,
at the same time?
yeah.
So I guess, like, they ever get in a fight, like, in the middle of the sermon, start being like, "Well,
I got a great story about that.
okay,
It wasn't
right,
my
we'll get to
mom
it.
and dad,
Yeah.
but my dad and the co-pastor one time went outside and legit ran a fake, like legit ran one. Came back in bloodied in the whole night, like real life. That's when I was
Yeah,
like, oh, this is great. Um,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But I spent a lot of time at church, and my musical influences early on. Of course, I got like
Mhm.
uncles that, like, didn't spend as much time at church as me, uncles and cousins. But I got a little bit of hip hop from that, and I went to Epic Elementary School. If you're from Birmingham, anyway,
Yeah, yeah,
Epic's like a melting pot, right? So,
yeah.
it was very like integrated, and that was just normal to me. So like the first album I ever listened to that wasn't like a gospel album was actually
Mhm.
Nirvana's Unplugged.
Oh, yeah.
First thing I ever listened to that just wasn't a gospel. You know what I'm saying? Like, and grew up a big Nirvana, REM, Pearl Jam. Like I was in that world right
Mhm.
when MTV was starting to really like get a hold to what was happening. And, so I grew up with Tom Petty. I actually used Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers as like specifically Last Dance with Mary Jane. I used that song as a template for most of the stuff
Oh,
I
wow.
write. Right. Um, like that, because he had the kind of like a little rappy,
Yeah.
like rhythm to. He grew up in an Indiana town, a
There
good
is like
little
a
mama.
fast and a slow rhythm kinda pulling it in different
Yeah,
directions
just
back
kind of
and
pulling
forth.
the.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. And I use that as a template a lot in my music.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then, outside of that, like once I started getting it, like the next album I got that was just like not gospel was, oh God,
No,
sorry
you're
about
good.
that.
You're
Sorry
back.
about that. Okay, I'm back. The next album I got that wasn't gospel was actually the Forrest Gump soundtrack. I got that, yeah, I think in the 6th grade for Valentine's Day. And it was a 2-disc, but
Extended
oh my God, it was so
the
great.
B
Like,
side.
oh my God, it was so great. And like that's how I learned out about Simon and Garfunkel and Creedence Clearwater Revival. And so like I was getting like this old
Yeah, you could never license something like that outside of a movie. That would just be like millions of dollars of
millions
license
of
fees.
dollars, right?
It really it's like
But
yeah,
it was so great for me to like kind of like submerge myself in that for a while. I still had a lot of gospel. And then, just over time I just kind of picked up different influences from different places.
mhm,
But I felt like all of it was this is a true story. What we call country music, hip hop music, jazz music, gospel music, um, at least those four, all of them come from about 300 miles of each other,
mm,
right? They are germane to the same people,
yeah.
right? The
It's
and
more
I
like a working class kind of folk
it's
and
it's
a
working
pop.
it's working man
And
folk
al
music.
the core of that is pop from 60 to 100 years ago, but it's a pop core of like, this is what anyone could pick up and understand.
Yes, yes, and so it's working man's music, and all of those different branches of music, they have this one thing in common to me, and it is that it is important to let the audience know that we're from the same place, right?
Mm,
The first thing you ever find out about a hip hop star is where they are from, right?
yeah.
Where they are from is bigger than them, right? They might
Mhm,
be the biggest thing where they're from,
mhm.
but they only matter because of where they're from, right?
Yeah.
Same thing is true in country music. Like you might be the biggest thing out of Dallas, or you might be the biggest thing from Roanoke, Alabama, but
Mhm,
you're never bigger than Roanoke, right? Like your
mhm,
whole story is based in Roanoke. So I like to put those two things together, and I like to tell it, this is where I'm from, and I'm not bigger than that program. I hope to be the biggest thing in the program, but I'm not bigger than the city. So
mhm.
yeah.
Well, that's beautiful, and do you are there other artists that you like, not just in music, but that are kind of exploring that thing? Like, I don't know if you saw, I read a lot of kind of like independent comics and like, was it Southern Bastards? Actually, like it ended up to be set in Birmingham. Nobody knew it was going to be, but then you see these scenes from Birmingham, but it was like, there's these violent shots of people eating barbecue and like living in trailers. But it's a graphic novel.
I've never seen. I need to check this out.
Yeah, that one's really good. Yes, it's called Southern Bastards. That artist and author have done some cool stuff, and like they'll go make the money doing like Marvel and Wolverine, and then they'll come back and tell like a little simple story. But yeah, things like that kind of make me think of what you're doing because it's just so familiar, but it's also a deconstruction of the familiar. It's not just more of what you can go out and get at the
Yes.
record store or the you know
It,
decor store already. It's kind of I mean, like being a working class farmer guy with the style that you've got that is, somewhat urban, somewhat laid back. You know how to drive a tractor, but also your beard is pink. I mean,
my
that's
beard is
kind of a
pink.
deconstruction of an
Yes,
idea.
and like I think I hate to do this. This is so cheese, but it's true. When Sinners came out last year,
Yeah,
I thought to myself, "Oh my God, that's the story." Right?
yeah,
Like that's the story. I was deconstructed coming out of church. And being like this, I'm a preacher's son, I'm a church musician. That's where I learned to do all this stuff. Right. But I felt this calling to go do it elsewhere. And I've had some success doing it elsewhere. And I
mhm,
wanted to come back home and tell literally when I finally put out this whole album is a deconstruction of what it means to be a black man in Alabama.
mhm,
Right? And the country parts of it, the more urban parts of it, the gospel parts of it, the deconstruction of the gospel parts of it, the internal conflicts, the rises and falls. That's what the whole thing they call sugar and salt. And that is a deconstruction of what it takes to make people addicted. Right. Like we're all born with this addiction to sugar and salt. It's all in what you do with it. Right. And
mhm,
so it just getting it down to the bare nits and grits. I tell this story that like if you're from Birmingham or you're from Alabama, there are sugar people that they eat their grits with sugar.
Mm-hmm.
and they're salt people, right? They eat their grits with salt. And the sugar people think that the salt people are disgusting. And the
Mm-hmm.
salt people know that the sugar people have lost their minds, right? And
Which side is correct, though? You know, how
salt,
do
salt is right.
yeah.
Salt is right. And
I think the same for cornbread. I don't like sugar in the cornbread. I like I like the
Salt,
salty.
salt is grits are supposed to be savory.
Yeah.
And the mayor eats sugar in his grits. I couldn't even believe it. I couldn't believe it, man. And I love that guy. You know what I'm saying?
You talking about Woodfin? Woodfin's the
Yes,
sugar in his grits guy?
the sugar grit guy.
Oh.
Right? So you see the animosity but when you strip it back, we just two country grit eating sons of bitches, right?
Yeah.
Right, and I want people to deconstruct that. Like, it's the grits that make it country. It's not how you top it, right? Like, and that's the message I'm trying to get across. Like, oh, I'm country, bro. Like, I don't want to have
Mhm.
to explain that to you no better than that. You might top yours a little differently. You might talk
Mhm.
about pickup trucks, and I talk about coupe de villes. But that's just what my granddaddy drove,
Yeah.
right? My granddaddy worked on a steel plant. You know, my other grandma had a farm. You know, so I know that life too, but I grew up right on the line between Birmingham and Wylam. My grandma in Wylam had a farm. My grandma
Mhm.
in Dolomite was at the steel mill. You see what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
and that's a real life. That's not some caricature I had to make up. That's
Mhm.
really how I grew up, you know? So,
So you got both of those influences of kind of the culture of the city and then also the culture of the country and a lot of the ideals of self-reliance and community, you know, that
so
sometimes you don't necessarily see in music as much as, I mean, you're kind of, it's meeting people where they are, but also calling them to action, which is hard to do at the same time. It's
absolutely.
easy to kind of preach people, yeah, what you're doing already is enough, or, you know, oh, rugged resilience, don't worry about it. And, you know, end up on the Taylor Sheridan soundtrack or something. But like, I don't know, maybe you're gunning for that one. I don't want to burn any bridges for you. This is not reflected.
No, you good, buddy.
Yeah. we,
And one day when we not doing this, let's just hang out, bro.
yeah. God, I got to see if I can remember it. This is way off topic for the podcast, but there was like, we used to make like jokes about like, if you were we would make a song called like Taylor Sheridan, Please Hire Me for Your Soundtrack. And it would be like a country song, but it'd be like, it'd just be like a parody of the kind of stuff that plays when the like sunset rolls. And I like some of
Yeah,
Taylor Sheridan.
that's what you
I'm fine,
need, man.
you know, but they would be
You
like,
need
so
those,
like,
man.
yeah, like I don't, one of those songs was like, in my heart, there's a bar with seats for both of us, but now I'm drinking in my car because you went to Alcoholics Anonymous, and you know, like that kind of that kind of old banjo. Because I mean, the thing that because I grew up in Alabama, and you know, like if you asked me in high school, you know, like if I would ever listen to country music, have a cowboy hat, drive a truck, I would have been like, hell no, you know,
Hell
like
no.
I'm protesting the Iraq War or whatever. And then, you know, 2 months ago, I'm driving out to somewhere in Bessemer being like, this truck is $10,000 under Blue Book. I'm a social worker married to a teacher. I don't care if I got to scrape an American flag decal wrap with bullet holes in it off the back and a Confederate flag. I'm
You
getting this
need
used
that.
truck. Like, and you know, like I love my cowboy hat. I love a lot of country music, but you know, when I was at that time, like so much of that genre was I'm a guy who really wants to date somebody who doesn't want to date me, and I'm drunk, and I think that's very deep. And that whole thing
And I
just
think
kind of
that's deep.
disgusted me because it's like,
Yeah.
that's not deep. Like you can do that and no shade, but like also don't tell that to me like, is this just so interesting and aren't I unique? Like, nah, dog, not
Nah,
at all. Like,
nah, you're not. You're not. And I think a part of what I'm trying to build is like, bro, people from down here, like sometimes we get labeled as dumb,
hmm
right? Or like shallow or, you know, whatever. And it's like, nah, man, like there's a real politic to this place. There's a real like, um, there are people down here who really love people. There are people down here who really fight for things. Sometimes we don't get to be as amplified because, you know, we don't hold all the levels of power.
hmm
But man, like, I don't know if you'll find better people on the planet, man. Like,
It really is an interesting culture, and I think but there's a politics to it. You're right. I mean, you kind of have to know how to interact in it. And I think from the outside, you lose that nuance. People
yeah,
just kinda see something on the news or they look at, oh my lord, all of our it's political ad season. So I'm like watching these ads come in and, I don't know where they get the names for these people for one, but also like it's wild. There's like an ad that has been playing when I'm driving, and it's like for a gun store, but it's saying that you should go to the gun store because the rapture's coming and you should like get some assault rifles for the rapture. And it's like, well, if the rapture's coming, what do I need a gun for?
We need to go. Who we should
Yeah, I don't know to be
Jesus?
like, yeah, do we need to revisit how the rapture thing is supposed to work? Like,
Who taught us about? I don't. Yeah, you see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like that, and that's Alabama. When I first moved to LA, there was like this. I forget what mass shooting it was. There've been so many, and that's so sad to say. But when I first moved to LA, there was a mass shooting, and it might have been Sandy Hook. As a matter of fact, it was Sandy Hook. And so of course they were talking about guns and gun violence, and I was like, oh my God, y'all don't realize how easy it is to get a gun where I'm from.
Yeah.
And I was living in LA, so I came home to Birmingham, and I did a little Instagram thing. I've taken it down since then because I revamped my Instagram, but this little Instagram thing where I went to the place where you get the licenses. I wanted to get one legally. I wanted to show you how easy it was to get one. So I go to the place to get the gun down there by the courthouse. I can't remember what it's called, but it's right down next to the courthouse. There was a sign in the parking lot that had a 15-minute parking limit, which means you had to be out of there in 15 minutes. I'd never seen it. Like, I was like, what? I went in, and it's a government building. Now, think about that. A government building. 15 minutes, you got to be out of here.
We will make it efficient.
Got to get up. So I went in there. I got the permit. It's like $30, $40, whatever. Got the permit. Went down to Hoover Tactical. I should stay down there now. Right.
Hoover Tactical's right behind my business, honestly. Like,
okay, so you know what
the collective, yeah.
Go to Hoover.
It used to be like a Winn-Dixie, and it was a Del Champ at one point. Yeah,
it was a gun store. It was a grocery store. Like, think about that. I go into Hoover Tactical. I stand in there, and keep in mind, they serving other people. And the lady finally comes to me and she says, "What can I do for you?" And I said, "I need the biggest gun you got in here." That was it. I want the biggest gun you got in here. She said, "Well, I got this." So she hands me an AR-15 and goes, "You need some bullets?" And say, "Let me get like 1,000. She says, "Okay, let me cash your credit."
You need any high nitrogen fertilizer? You're like,
you need any enriched uranium or anything like that? Like, I'm like, man, like what? Like, okay. But again, that's the politic Alabama. You just have to kind of know that that's how it goes. And be responsible in that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not abuse whatever that
it is something you can't fathom what that process is that way. I mean, not saying anything political, like yes or no about it, but like if you're from New York where, like your shopping bag is regulated,
yes,
you could have that experience, in the same country.
In the same country.
Yeah.
Right. And I walked out of that store, not even concealed because I had a license.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, a liquor store, they're going to put it in a brown paper bag. Like, people just walking out like the Terminator.
I just walked out like Rambo.
Yeah.
Like, what? But that's Alabama, man. And it's a beautiful place in that regard. But, it's got someone has to tell that story and kind of, I hope to be one of the people who get to tell it.
Well, when I read, one of the things that I think is important to track, like what we're losing in the psychotherapy profession and also like how it's changing and sort of losing a lot of the depth that it had is I read the biographies of people, from the founders and the people in the 70s going back to it. And when I was doing that, they all kind of described this feeling of like, I kept thinking I was going to discover something. And then when I got to the top, I realized that I just was knowing what I had already known as a kid, kind of in their own language. And then when I started this podcast, we talked to all these artists and not just musicians, but like architects and fine artists, painters, all this stuff. And a lot of them had encountered, Jungian therapy or some kind of, depth-oriented therapy, but not all of them. And most of them are kind of saying the same thing. It seems like there's like two primary things that are the most common. And one of them is like, I want to speak to myself when I was a kid. Like I want to be the artist that says something that I wish someone had told me when I was a kid. And then the other one is this idea of like, I'm really trying to chew on my own psychology, understand it. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like I'm making art because I want to come back and say it this way, say it another way, say it another way on the fifth record, on the fifth painting, go, oh, that's what those 5 things were saying. Sort of as this any of those kind of relate to, or you just jumping off point for kind of reflection on your process?
I speak a lot to my inner child, for sure. Right. Like I say all the time that like 8-year-old me would love this guy. Right. Would love this guy. Right. And I don't even know if 8-year-old me would believe that this guy exists but he would be my biggest fan.
Mhm.
And so I do this for him, and well, that's a part of why I do it, but like, to let him know that you're not as crazy as you think you are, and you can be whatever you want to be, and you can say it however you need to say it, and blah blah blah. So a lot of it is that I tend to go into a studio. Sometimes I go in with like something I really really want to say, right?
Mhm.
Like I got a song that's doing pretty well now, Ice on the Road. I'm walked into the studio that day with that on my mind. I want to tell you this.
Yeah.
Um,
And Ice on the Road's the one that's blowing up, and that's the one, if you're listening to this, Google it, we'll link to it in the show notes, but, I mean, every time I went back to kind of try and listen to the music to prepare for the interview, there were, 2, 3 million more hits on that song. It was top of the pops.
and I'm so thankful for that, man. I'm really glad that people are listening to it. Um,
Well, I think there's a huge market for anything other than every politician that we have right now. Like, I mean, the thing that I should just kind of see across the board, because I mean, I see wildly different kinds of people. I don't really judge anybody. I think that if you're going to be a therapist, you got to love everybody. You don't necessarily have to, you maybe benefit from not liking them, but just loving them and holding them in the room.
yeah,
And, I don't care what people's politics are. I don't care what their gender, sexuality, or anything. I just like to get to know people and help you find you. And usually that cleans a lot of things up along the way.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're really saying that and that's by the time you get to, which sadly is not just relevant to bites probably, but by the time you get to the point where there's dead bodies in the streets, something's wrong. Something's not working. And can we just back up and say, hey, it's sort of self-evident that this is not the way to do it, and then maybe figure out I mean, if you can't get there, I mean, where can
I
you
think we
go?
ought to at least be able to agree that that's not it, right?
That seems like a very low bar. Is that
Right?
piles of bodies is not an aspirational
That can't
thing.
be it, man. And
Yeah.
and so sometimes you go in with that kind of thing. And then sometimes I go in really more or less to paint a feeling, right? Like I just want you to feel a certain thing, not necessarily pay attention to my story, but like I want to give you hope, or I want to give you happy feet,
Hmm.
give you something to hum along to. So, but all of those things are really like speaking to, really, I want to speak to the children. You know, we grow up, and oh, yeah, we get old, whatever. But I don't know if we're supposed to grow up.
Hmm.
I'm not sure of that. Right. Not to the degree that we lose the young scientist that was in us all. Right.
I
Like
think you got to grow backwards, and then it's more of a remembering and less of a
yeah,
intellectual
man. Like you
discovery.
gotta remember like the curiosities that you had as a kid, and the willingness to explore and get out of your safety zone, because every day you out of your safety zone. For one point, you were learning something new all the time, and and then you get to a certain age and you feel like you know it all, and it's like nah, remember what it's like to keep learning every day. Remember what it's like to have new experiences and blah 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 blah. So that's kind of what I try to do in my music.
Yeah, and are there other? I mean, there is a tradition. I mean, even in Birmingham, of kind of like um alternative, and especially like and also people kind of making their like personality and aesthetic more of the mythology of the art, like people like Sun Ra. And are there any kind of like African American or musicians from the South that kind of, I'm going to stay here, but I'm also going to break the mold, and that's a little bit of the point. I'm not just gonna,
Man, Sun Ra, you named one. George Clinton, man.
yeah,
Andre 3000,
yeah.
right? Um, Hell, Isaac Hayes. Like a part of being a part of being down here is it's the strutting peacock kind of thing. Like almost like it's having an aesthetic that breaks molds is like uh it takes a lot, because I come from a working man's town, right? Like this is
Yeah.
steel trap, you know?
Which is
So
it's an inherently not even politically conservative, but it's conserving the normal. It's conserving let's put everybody in a blender and keep this lump average. And if you're saying something from the outside, that's really weird. That's
yeah,
really, I'm a little bit afraid, because I'm trying to kind of retain something. And that's so much the impulse when you're really breaking that and then forcing people to also have a connection with you. I mean,
yes.
that's kind of the seed of change. And it's kind of
My
Christ-like in a way. I mean, Jesus kind of was like, "Hey, I'm here, but I'm pointing you somewhere else."
point somewhere else.
Yeah.
My dad is still like the preacher, but a steel worker, army
Mhm.
man, right? Like as conservative as you can think. You're right, just conservative, evangelical, army steelworker. Like I don't even know if I can, if you get the picture, right?
Yeah. That's a hard Venn diagram to find the middle of.
Bro, that's literally the Venn diagram is just a circle, bro. It's just one circle, bro. And that he always wanted for me to be literally, quote, a productive member of society. That's what he wanted from me, right? First word I ever learned how to spell, this is not a joke. First word I ever learned how to spell is job. The first word I ever learned how to spell. You know, he wanted me to be a preacher and, you know, maybe play some music for church and like just kind of following that tradition, get your steel job, blah, blah. And steel workers, they were the same navy blue, you know, dicky pants. You get what I'm saying? All of that.
Yeah.
Right. But that being said, that didn't fit me well. You know, I think a lot about like the story of David and Goliath when David went to go fight Goliath and, you know, they tried to put Saul's armor on him and it just didn't fit him, right? He was like, I'm going to take a slingshot and go ahead and do this, you know? And that's kind of how I see it, you know, like it's not that I didn't want to, you know, be productive in society. That just wasn't the outfit for me to do it in. That wasn't the way I saw making the world better.
Yeah, when I worked like in Jasper, Alabama, sling blading highways and stuff in between college, it really was like everybody had the Dickie overalls, the thrift store T-shirt or the plain white T-shirt, and then the baseball hat that you wore every day, and that was like your uniform for it.
That was the uniform.
But then you know that like being so heterogeneous, they had to have these kind of weird competitive personalities, like really lean into their, you know, like the cockfighting guy was always fighting like the you know, souping up the truck guy, and just the weirdness of the community.
You got to be individual in some way, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you know, but respecting the collective, you know, and I honor those who came before me, and all those still working people, you know, all those farming people. I love them, and they taught me a lot. But you know, that just wasn't the mold I was made for.
Was that when he was working for Birmingham Steel?
Yep.
Or
My dad worked for polymer coil coaters right out there in Fairfield. And then of course he was in the Army, and you know, we went to church as soon as he got out of work almost every day. So
when you're taking that, you know, background to fit into, you know, the mythology of an artist, the persona of an artist, which is, you know, some you, but also, you know, you got to turn it up a little bit to have a thing, to have a performance. What are you taking? You know, start with, you know, why Pynk Beard? Why beard? Why pink?
okay, well, I've been growing a beard for years. Facial hair is just kind of part of what I do. But I dyed it pink because you know, I'm 44, so my beard is skunk under here, right? It's black and white. And when I spent a lot of time writing for other people, so I was just in the studio. I didn't care about an aesthetic. I'm just old man coming in to write you some songs. You know, I didn't really care. But when I decided I wanted to get back out and sing, I was like, man, I don't want to shave my beard. And I happened to meet these pastors. I was throwing a birthday party for a friend of mine out in LA, and her pastors had this color in their hair. I was like, man, if I had hair, I'd dye my hair that color. And one of the brothers said, all you do is just on your face. I was like, oh, I think that'd be interesting. I thought it'd be a good calling card. You don't really run into a whole lot of people with pink beards, so I figured it'd be a good calling card. And again, it reminds me every morning that I need to do something to make this worth it, you know, because otherwise it just looks silly, you know?
Yeah.
So it was my push out of the nest. I was like, man, once you dye your beard pink, you got to go. You got to do something. So this like reminds me to get up and be productive and you know, enjoy what I'm doing. Don't take it too serious, but you just got to be serious enough, because otherwise you look silly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great line of trying to take yourself seriously, but not too seriously.
Yeah.
It's a lot of what makes it actually work. Like in any art, I think. So, you know, Alabama has some problems. We've touched on it. Your music goes into that. I mean, do you have like kind of experiences where you growing up, you saw, you know, this is wrong, or all of a sudden, oh, I realized my self-image was, you know, the culture was telling me it was bad, but actually it's good, and I'm having this kind of breakthrough. Or, you know, you know, if you have activist parents, I mean, sometimes you speak that language pretty early. But I mean, most of my career as a social worker, you know, in Alabama, I was at the hospital or something. I'm a white guy in a polo shirt. So it's like a lot of people just feel comfortable telling you how racist they are sometimes, which obviously it couldn't. I always thought it was funny because like when I first started, you'd go to these apartments and a lot of the people are, on disability and kind of real hard up, and you're trying to help them with a crack addiction or something. And sometimes you have to call the police or something if there's somebody, if there's a break-in or whatever. And like the police officers would always come in. And I think for the size of the city, Birmingham has a pretty good police force. I mean, there's some problems, but a ton of the time, I'd be around the corner and they weren't expecting to see me. And so they'd come into the apartment and be like, well, we haven't, sir, we had encountered a tactical kinetic report of situation. They're kind of like, that's the 180. So,
I would keep like I went to elementary school, was very integrated. My middle school was very integrated. High school, pretty integrated, right? Like as far as that's concerned, I was around, I feel like good-hearted people.
Yeah.
But when I got to college, I was at, I wouldn't even say school, but I was in undergrad, and I played in this band, this like kind of southern rock. We did a lot of Allman Brothers kind of stuff, but just a cover band. We did that kind of stuff, and we were playing on the Strip. And there's this young lady who took a liking to me, but I was the front man. You're supposed to like the front man, right? And she happened to be white. And so during the set break, we're standing outside and she's talking to me, blah, blah. Another guy is kind of standing out to the side. He looks back at her and says, "You're not supposed to talk to him. He's an N-word," right? And I look back and I looked, and there's a police officer standing with it, like maybe arm's length away. I look at the police officer looks at me. And then he turns his head, right? And I said, "Sir, if I knock him out, will you turn your head again?" And he looked at me, and he turned his head. And then keep in mind, I'm a preacher's kid, man. So I thought about all the Sunday schools I've been to, and how you're supposed to turn the other cheek, and I get it, and what would Jesus do? And then I knocked him out, punched him right in his face, and I picked him up, brought him in the bar, set him on the stool, bought his drinks the whole rest of the night. We actually became really good friends after that.
And he stayed. He accepted it, and
he did. He accepted.
Okay.
He accepted. And we went, like, to this day, we're actually pretty decent friends. That was a life-changing moment for us both, I believe.
Wow.
And because again, growing up, I never really had, like, what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying it didn't exist. I just lived in a bubble that like, that's just not how I live life, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, Birmingham is pretty metropolitan. I mean, there's there's some sundown towns in Alabama. There's some places you probably don't want to be hanging out too long. I don't know how much of that's changed, but there definitely was when I was in high school.
Yeah. But Birmingham, like, that was my first time really like experiencing something like that. But I knew then, like, that's not the way to live, man. Like, judge a person on their content, bro. Judge them on their character, and I've been raised that way, and I feel like that's the way we all treat everybody.
So it's something that you were kind of in conversation with that you never controlled you, but you were always kind of aware of, had to be managed.
Yeah. Me, probably. I had to learn, like, early on. Like, I had counselors and stuff when I was a kid. Like, my mom put me in therapy when I was super young. Because I did have a wild, like, I keep talking about how my parents were preachers, but my dad was a wild one. Like, I mean, not like a drug addict or anything like that. Really straight arrow kind of guy, but like mean, right? Because he was so straight arrow. And my mom put me in counseling when I was really young. And
so he was like the military mindset of that time of like, you got to be 100% perfect to make sure that you have every opportunity.
Yes, pure discipline. Like that's just what my daddy was and is. Like, just the
True Detective season 3 type. Like that kind of.
Yes, and so growing up, I dealt a lot with like how to deal with like my own anger issues, right? Because I wanted to fight back, and I wanted to, and I was bigger than other kids. So, and I was learning that if someone disagreed with you and you had the power to hurt them, you hurt them.
Yeah.
Right. So I dealt with that a lot as a kid, and fortunately, thanks to my mom and that therapy, that really helped me out a lot in life. And it Dr. Paula Brown, I'll never forget that lady, may she rest her soul.
I've seen people who knew her, generally like older therapists have mentioned stuff
uh,
with her. I mean, she was kind of an OG of the.
and a doll, man, just a sweet lady, man. Um, and she, she kind of like, hey man, do this in express yourself in music. Like, you could sing about it. And I would sing a little songs when I came to therapy, and
Mm.
so a part of why I exist today is because of that. And so I'm really appreciative to that. And it really did help me like process my feelings. And I still do that to this day.
Well, I try and stay away from any of the like Mark Maron territory of like, oh, what would your dad like? What do you talk about in therapy? But I don't know, for the lack of a better, like what do you see things from your childhood that you kind of engage with in therapy as an adult or as a kid, or that
Oh
kind of come up and.
yeah. Yeah, man. Maybe even to my downfall to a certain degree, having that therapy young taught me how to talk through a conflict, right? Like, make sure you understand what that person's saying to you, and make sure that you are understood, right? Like, make sure you tell the truth, because you can't fix what you won't say, what you won't reveal, you can't heal, man. And so I use that to this day. You can't heal what you won't reveal. And so,
Mhm,
even in my relationship now, and I'm sure she hates me, we like each other,
mhm,
but like I'm very much like, hey, my love, I want to make sure I'm understanding you. Let me repeat what I think I'm hearing you say. Am
mhm,
I getting that right? And sometimes she just wants me to get it. And I'm like, before I say I got it, let me make
mhm,
sure I get it.
mhm,
And I want you to understand me. This is what I'm trying to say. This is where I went wrong there. This is what I thought I was doing right there.
mhm,
Right. But I learned
mhm,
that, even as a kid, like, don't be afraid of, because I would either run from conflict or run to it. Right. Like
mhm,
there was no real like mediation for me. Nothing to like I would either completely shut down or we're going to fight, you know?
mhm,
And so I'm really thankful that I had those experiences to help me like, be able to move through those.
mhm.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything that's upcoming? Do you want to get more into kind of film or start to act? I mean, you have a personality where it'd probably be, pretty easy to make the jump into, showing up as a character actor in an HBO thing or something.
The
You
crazy
in
part
LA?
about being like in music now is like it doesn't make the money it used to make. So now you have to think about like what else you gonna do.
Yeah.
but um, I, right now I'm really focusing on this. I'm appearing on America's Got Talent.
Oh, cool.
Uh, at some point next month, you guys should see me on TV, and I'm really gonna just try to push this. I feel like this to me, this particular part of my life, I feel like it's gonna be one of my most impactful times. But I do want to write a book, so
Yeah.
starting to sketch out some stuff on that.
Well, awesome. Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
I look forward to it. And when you got the book, come back and promote it. I'd love to see it
Yes, sir.
in the hometown.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
I love talking about I love talking to artists, especially when they're switching kind of mediums or exploring the same thing in a different medium. So that, like, when you, maybe you do want to talk about that. Some people are kind of scared too, just because of the forces in the industry. But it's like
Yeah.
you used to be able to make money as a pop musician. Now you can have millions of views, and Spotify and this kind of streaming economy crap has figured out which those companies aren't making money anyway, which is kind of frustrating that people took money away from other people to have some new business model to lose the money for themselves.
To
But
lose them.
yeah, but like, so it's done this like weird thing to the industry where like now everything has to be events. Like you have to be like an event sized artist, and that means that you're dealing with one of five companies, really two or three companies that own venues and have this kind of tort monopoly and all this stuff. And then you have to and then that also means that the concert can't just be a concert where you go up and do it and maybe intermission. You have to have sets and lasers and film production stuff in order, because they're sort of trying to turn the money is in the events, so it's like
Yeah.
all I've watched that slowly happen over 10 years. And it has the same effect that a lot of our culture does, where it makes a whole lot of losers and a couple winners. These
Yes.
people make, millions of dollars, and they're essentially going on, 18 trailer trucks, and their kids have a little house that gets rebuilt behind the stadium every day so that they never feel like they're in a different thing. And I mean, tons and tons of money. And like, that's great. If you get to be Pink, that's great. But like, there's not the pathway to just kind of be a middle class or upper middle class or slightly wealthy, musician, even actors are starting to say that,
Yeah.
AI is starting to. So these industries as they change, I mean, you got any thoughts on that or what?
Yeah. Uh, my thoughts. I've always here's the socialism, man. All power to all the people, man, and I mean that. You know, a dollar is only worth what you say it's worth, man,
Mhm,
and the consumer is the battery for all industry, right?
mhm,
And and I say all that to say that whatever you want to see happen is what has to happen, right?
mhm,
Like they can make whatever model they want to make. My goal has been specifically this year, like I'm coming to see people where they are, like and if that's in somebody's backyard, I'm pulling up on you, and I'm bringing my band, and you just tell your friends come over, right? And that way we can do that. Um, it- you know, because the human connection, it, none of that. I mean, nothing against your laser shows, right?
mhm.
But I think that there's a heartbeat that goes on, especially as things start to kind of, I guess, the world starts to kind of get weirder and weirder. I think people are looking for something that's a bit more human,
Mhm.
right? And as we get more AI, and I'm not like the anti-AI person. I don't use it personally, but to each his own. But I think there
I'm
comes
AI
this.
right now. I'm at the beach. This is a Jedi holocron. I just,
Well, that's nice.
I'm not, not really.
That's nice. It looks good.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
one day though, you could be in that situation. You don't even know if the person.
Probably so, right?
Mhm.
Like, and nothing against that, right? But I think people are going to be looking for, like, just real heart to heart, human to human type interactions, and so I want to be at least that bridge while I can. I won't be, by the time I leave Earth, y- they probably won't have a single human being singing in anything. So,
I mean,
if I,
especially Gen Z is like really rebelling against AI. I mean, there's like they won't they're real angry about that because they came about when this period where the internet was mostly crap and I think
yeah,
it's kind of like a more extreme version of the millennials that had watched their parents like go to Best Buy and Applebee's and they're like, we want authentic real culture, we're going to hang up Edison classic light bulbs on strings. The
yeah.
beer will only be made in this one spot, and then that kind of gets co-opted or whatever. But yeah, I think the Gen Z thing is like an even stronger reaction to the same thing.
I'm hoping that the
Mhm.
kids will be all right, man. Because we're gonna need human beings, man. We're not quite in post-humanistic world yet, and so we're gonna need human beings and human beings to tell real stories and put real emotion behind it. And um, yeah, so that's really all I can hope for, is to be a person who brings value to that. And if selling records is a way of the past, I can understand that. Business models change, and I think that right now what we're selling is we're selling characters,
Mhm.
and so I just want to be a valuable character, and
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah, it is. I mean, and do you have anything to say about becoming a character? Because it is this kind of involuntary process of when you become a pop musician, you're almost part of the collective mythology. I mean, people are
yes,
thinking of you like Superman, Batman, Zeus, and not just, there may be an understanding that you're a person too, but you're representing a thing.
yes,
And, too, like, so much of the history of the music that you're mining, there's, African American ballads about, social justice and protection. And then, I mean, there's also, what not just white, but largely white, songs about Blair Mountain and socialism and coal mining and pushing back on the worst excesses of capitalism that go back 150 years in this
yeah.
area. I mean, I'll open-ended turn that over to you.
Yeah, as far as being a character is concerned, I as a songwriter, I used to tell, like, when the young artists would come see me, I would always ask them, two things, like, who are you, and who wants to dress like you, right? In other words, like, a part of this is just a visual thing, like, not that everybody would want to do this, but you could dress as me for Halloween easily. Right.
Mhm.
And that was a big part of why I wanted to do this. I wanted you to be able to dress as me for Halloween to make a visual impact.
You
But
done
then
like
it's
a poster with like a Vulcan with a pink beard? That'd be a cool,
yeah, right. I hadn't, but that's a good look. That's a good look. Thanks for the look in. But then as far as like the collective mythology, you're right. You know, country music specifically, again, it's working man's folk music, right? And it tells this story of like just what it's like where you're from, the ups and downs. You know, in the South, we've always kind of had like this kind of anti-elitist um mindset, right? You know, boot on your neck type thing. And I think once it starts to lose that, um, you do the art a disservice, you know,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying everything has to be the blues, right? But I'm saying that reality just you have to have something that represents whatever reality may be.
Yeah.
And so I think being a part of that and hearing these like during this whole time I've been hearing all these songs, you know, that's showing that angst. I miss when white kids were in their dad's garages making angsty music, right? Get back in the garage, Clayton, and play that guitar, right?
Yeah,
Get
punk
that shit
rock
off your
definitely
chest.
needs to, post-punk was going somewhere. Let's,
Yes,
big
man,
up
get
that,
back in there and tell them
mm.
how angry you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need that, right?
You ever hear Planet X Records? That's what was big when I was in high school, is like that kind of like anti-folk punk thing that had no melody to it at all, and, it was like coming out of Texas and like Indiana,
get in there and
and
do that.
Food Not Bombs was like a big part of it, but it was like, yeah, there's so many cassette tapes in high school where it's like they didn't have any musical ability. They're just like, "You use the steeples of your churches to cover up the graveyard of your crimes. I smoke cigarettes in the graveyard. Screw you, dad." That was a genre of music
Yes,
that,
get that off your
yeah,
chest, man. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, get that off your chest. I love that. Um, and but we need like, you know, because we kind of got hyper capitalistic, and now it's just about making money. If I can get it online, blah blah. But the art itself um stems from our successes and our failures, and I feel like I'm starting to hear that again more and more. Once people are out of hope, then they have to make their own hope,
Mhm.
and it tends to come out in the art,
Yeah.
right? Like once the money stops working, once the chase for money stops working, people tend to just go back to their garage, man, and
Yeah.
because they got nothing to lose or win,
Yeah.
right? So as long as they still got garages, you might be uh, putting on a subscription for your garage next year, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Do you see the culture moving back to a time like that? I mean, I've said for a while, I feel like we're kind of moving back to the '70s, like the oil embargo, this like people looking inward because there's not as much stuff outside to distract them. Like the ability to consume as much if there's a recession and less oil. People look inward. Yeah, and culture shifts when people have to do that. You see, any parallels or
Oh yeah,
any?
I can see that even starting in COVID. When
Mhm.
COVID hit and people couldn't go outside, people got creative. Boy, man, and now fair enough, we had the internet, right?
Mhm.
But man, like most of the stars that you see today
Yeah.
were born in COVID, right?
Yeah.
Like they figured out what to do with their phone, they figured out what to do with their camera, they figured out what to do with their voice. They
Yeah.
are like when people are forced to sit with themselves, they have to sit with themselves, you know?
Mhm.
I think a part of what you're starting to hear now in music and even from the consumer to the artist is, you know, they just want something real, right? Like
Mhm.
that people just want to hear something real. They want to hear something that relates to them, something that they can feel. And that's really my goal. I want to give people a whole range of emotions. Life is not always happy, but it's not always sad. I don't always have it all worked out, but I'm not always drunk.
Mhm.
You know, you know. So I think people just they want to be able to attach to something that's real.
Yeah, I think in figuring out how to get back to it or what real means, in a
Hmm.
very inevitably digital world is probably the future and one touched by the algorithm in some ways. You got to touch the algorithm a little bit to find the real. And I think that people are kind of figuring it out in show business now, but it was like there was this really almost 10-year period where they just said, "Hey, we're not going to give you money anymore, but we'll give you views. So this is the number that's like a real thing, but we'll give you this fake number. Is that good enough?" And some of these kids are like, oh, "Okay, yeah."
Oh,
And now people are kind of being like, "Wait a minute,
we
if
need some
there's
money.
50 million views and you can't give me $15, what's going on?" Like,
Yeah, I gotta eat, man. I gotta
yeah,
eat. So figuring out that economy, it's been a wild one. because it's like, you need to be on the internet, right? It's just where you live. I live online, man. But then how do I break away from that? Because I got a real family. I got real friends that I really love, and I really need to just spend time with them and drink coffee and have breakfast or whatever, But it's like, man, I need pieces of content this week because my peak numbers are done. And I'm like, bro, just figuring out that balance, and it's a delicate one, but just have to go with what you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to be respectful of your time and kind of wrap up so
So,
that, I don't run over. But what is like the best way for people to engage with you out there? And especially like the best venue for them to get your stuff where you get the biggest cut, Bandcamp versus Amazon or Spotify versus Apple, what should people do that want to kind of get into the Pynk Beard verse from?
if you want to be a part of my world, come see me live, man. Come see me. Digitally, I don't really care about, I'm not supposed to say this. Stream the music. Thank you. That's, come see me, man. Like, pull up on me at a show. Come hang out with me so you know what it is. Get the feeling and see what it feels like. I'm not really a recording artist. I'm an artist that records, and that's a difference, right? Like, come see me. Come hang out with me. I'll be back in Birmingham in June. I'm doing, oh God, I wish I had it on. I don't even have my calendar, but I'll promote, I promise you. But no matter where you are, if you hear this and you hear that I'm coming to town, come see me. Um, we'll figure out I'm not charging exorbitant prices for my tickets. I'm not a part of the Ticketmaster gang or the Live Nation gang. I'm just out here doing shows, right? And pull up on me so you get to see how, like, my crowds, literally from 4-year-olds to 84-year-olds, real life. And we're dancing and we're singing and we're all having our own good time together. And I don't even know, that's really the best thing for me. Like, it's better for me. I think it's better for the people. But, stream the music on Apple if you got to stream one because they pay, or Tidal if you got it. It's actually the best paying of them all. Tidal if you do that. But again, I want to put people together. I want people to see that they've got neighbors that don't look like them or dress like them or live in that neighborhood per se, but y'all got this guy in common, right? And I think the best way to do that is just to see it in person. Like, come see it so you can see this lesbian couple from Asheville, North Carolina, right? And this old ass man from Montgomery, Alabama, right? That should never know each other, but they should know each other. You know what I'm saying? That's the magic, man. That part is so magical to me, man. I want to
The concert is part of the art form. The community is part of the art form. That's part of the persona.
I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'm gonna shut up about this. Frankie Beverly died about 2-3 years ago, and I remember when Frankie Beverly died from Frankie Beverly and Maze, and I've been seeing Frankie Beverly since I was a kid. I've probably seen Frankie like 8-10 times in my life. Never even on purpose either, because Frankie was alive, making music way before I was born. But he was always at like music festivals and stuff. And he was old when I was a kid, right? And so he would come out and go, "You make me happy," and point that mic. He didn't have to sing another word for the rest of the show, right? And I realized that Frankie Beverly was the highest paid microphone stand in the world, right? We didn't go to Frankie Beverly concerts to hear Frankie Beverly sing to us. We went to Frankie Beverly concerts so Frankie Beverly could watch us sing to him, right? And that kind of community is the kind I'm trying to build, right? Like, this is not about Pynk Beard. I just happen to be the button that brings the two sides of the shirt together. You know what I'm saying? But I want to be, that kind of energy is like, you could touch it. Like, that's real to me. And that's what I'm trying to build in these shows.
Yeah, I'd love to bring both my kids to see you. I got a 5-year-old that is a huge dancer, and then my 8-year-old she's just loves energy. So that'd be a ton of fun. You got anything coming up? Iron City, Saturn, anything big?
I'll be at Work Play on. Oh God! Oh, I can't get to my calendar.
I
will tell you personally.
Email me, and I'll put it in the show notes. And then if you're ever coming back to the South, even if it's like in 10 months, a year from now, just email me. I'll put it out on the Instagram, and I'll relink to the episode, clip the episode, so you can always send me stuff.
We'll do. I'll send it to you in the email as soon as I get off. I'll check the calendar.
Yeah, no rush at all. But yeah, anything you want to close with or kind of promote? I I appreciate you so much coming on, a show and have a conversation.
Man, thank you. On the way out, man, I just want to again thank you for having me, man. It's always a privilege to be able to chat with people, somebody that think that I'm interested enough to sit down with, and so.
Oh no, you're like my ideal guest. I was really happy that I was able to get past the agent. Usually, if I can get in front of the artist, they're kind of they're interested. But sometimes those agents are like, if you're not, 5 million.
Oh man, nah. I appreciate the time. I appreciate and if there's anything I want to promote, man, make sure come see me on Instagram, Pynk Beard, PYNKBEARD, or Twitter. I mean X. I'm sorry. Same thing, or anywhere you find me, PYNKBEARD, all one word. Follow me there and join the community and let's pitch in and do the best that we can and make this world better. One song at a time, one handshake at a time, one smile at a time.
Yeah, that's awesome. You want to close with you got a barbecue recipe you like? You want to close with a rib recipe or something? I'm curious to swap tips because I've been working on my rib recipe for like 20 years.
Let me put you up on a secret to baked potatoes.
Okay.
Okay, hear me out here. No foil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fork. 3 holes and 3 stabs in the potato. Both sides, so 6 in all. Brine it 3 seconds. That's it. 3 seconds. Put it in the oven. 375, 400 for 45 minutes. Take it out. Olive oil. Back in the oven. 450, 15. You're going to get a good crisp, chew on your skins. Inside, mashed potatoes. Mashed. I mean, no clumps, no nothing. Just.
That sounds perfect.
It is the perfect baked potato. And I share with people out there, it is the perfect baked potato.
I'm going to try that out. That makes sense. I always do tons of salt, but the brine probably makes a little bit more sense to get it in there.
Brine, right. Because the total, I get it, but sometimes you don't want to eat it because it's too salty on the outside.
Yeah.
A little brine. That's going to kind of crisp it up on that outside when you put that oil on it and flesh fry it a bit. I mean, not fry.
3 seconds, the brine will penetrate into the potato?
Get in the potato. It sounds weird because you think, well, they didn't do anything. 3 seconds. Just make sure you get it in there a little bit. Perfect baked potato.
That's fascinating. Yeah.
Every time.
I'll check that out for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you.
I picked up my phone and saw a congressman. A lot of money in his pocket, little blood on his hands. If they gun me down, I bet no one care. A lot of babies in the ground saying thoughts and prayers. Yeah, too many babies in the ground with the thoughts and prayers. But keep quiet and tell me in secret, where are your neighbors? When'd you last see them? Is anything great yet? Have you met Jesus? And what was he teaching? Did you believe him? Oh, be quiet. Tell me in secret, where are those strangers? And when did you feed them? Is anything great yet? Have you met Jesus? I think we might need him. But would you believe him? Would you believe